The Dice Awards announced their winners, and there are some great surprises. I picked some of my faves for this weekend's Oscars. And I share my thoughts on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Invincible, and For All Mankind. All that and the latest and everything cool today in the Rundown. Hey, welcome to the Rundown. My name is Victor Lucas, and it is my pleasure to be able to bring you the latest and everything cool. And that is thank you to our sponsor at the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation. They've got tournaments happening every weekend, like this weekend. You don't want to miss out on the action. You can join up with them at tgs.gg. They are fantastic people, so do me a favor, if you are on the Twitters, follow them and say that Vic from the Rundown sent you, all right? This Rundown, by the way, is dedicated to our friend Shirley Castle, who I am always delighted to see in the comments on videos that we post, and today she is in the chat. So, hello, Shirley. This one is for you. All right, the very first story on top of my mind is the Dice Awards, the 24th Annual Dice Awards, which happened yesterday. They were streamed in various different ways throughout the day. Everybody was piping in from home. It was hosted by Jessica Chobot and Greg Miller and Khalif Adams, and Greg was showing off his that he was wearing shorts. It was very casual. It was probably the most casual Dice Awards ever conceived, but some really big games received recognition for their incredible achievements, and obviously Hades topped the sort of message on the DICE website there, but there were lots of other big games, and we're going to dive into that right now. Hades was crazy. It actually won 5 awards for Game of the Year, Outstanding Achievement in Game Direction, Outstanding Achievement in Game Design, Outstanding Achievement for an Independent Game, Action Game of the Year. All went to Hades. And that's going to do it for the Rundown today. Thank you. No, I mean, that's amazing. Hades, Supergiant Games, they are obviously basking in a lot of love and deserved love. Their game is phenomenal. And what a story for that team and that company. They have made nothing but great games, but Hades kind of stands head and shoulders above everything else that they've done. Ghost of Tsushima, though, from Sucker Punch, I almost said Insomniac, also got a couple of big awards. Outstanding Achievement in Story and Outstanding Achievement in... actually got 4 awards. Outstanding Achievement in Audio Design, Adventure Game of the Year, Achievement in Original Music Composition, and Outstanding Achievement in Art Direction. And yeah, it's just a beautiful, beautiful experience. You can see, I mean, it's a bit grisly and gory. It doesn't sort of shy away from the violence that you have to endure and commit in the game, but it does it so wonderfully and so artistically. It's pleasing in every direction, and again, another standout title that deserves all of the recognition that it is getting out there. We got a couple of big awards for The Last of Us Part 2, which I'm sure it was a bit of an upset that this wasn't winning a Game of the Year, because it won a lot of Game of the Year awards elsewhere, including here with our Rocket and Raygun Awards. But Last of Us Part 2 picked up Outstanding Achievement in Story and Outstanding Achievement in Animation. I like the way they title their awards over at DICE, and these are all chosen by people that are, within the industry, making the games themselves, working for all these publishers and developers. It's very cool. So congrats, to the Naughty Dog team, but Sony in general had lots of different awards. But also, Valve came back and made games in 2020, and they brought us Half-Life Alyx, and it won a couple of big awards: Immersive Reality Game of the Year and Immersive Reality Technical Achievement. I would agree with both of those. It's a showcase for what VR is capable of. And, as we've known for a long time, Valve is all in on VR. They totally believe in the concept of it, and they proved that you can have really deep and compelling gameplay with Half-Life Alyx. So congratulations to the Half-Life Alyx team for those awards from DICE. Mario Kart Live was chosen as the best racing game of the year from DICE, which is pretty remarkable. This is a crazy toy/video game idea from... I forget the name of the developer. It is, I forget the name of the developer. I can't remember. They're fantastic X Vicarious Visions folks, which is funny that it went from Tony Hawk to Mario Kart Live. But they did a great job with this game. It's a lot more compelling than you would think. The only knock about it is that it's a hefty price tag, especially if you want to race against somebody else. You got to get 2 Switches and 2 remote-controlled, carts, and then you got to battle head-to-head that way, which would be really fun. But I think out of the price range of a lot of families out there. Still, incredible technology and an incredible game. Animal Crossing won for Best Family Game of 2020, and New Horizons, I think, just catapulted to the top of sales charts out there. It's become one of Nintendo's most important and popular franchises based on the back and success of this game, which came out at the perfect time, as we've talked about a ton on the rundown. Everybody was raving about this game and playing it like crazy and finding the best way to get the most for their turnips. But it also kind of had a drop-off, and it had I think a sort of aesthetic drop-off comparative to something like Ghost of Tsushima, It was a wonderful experience, but it just didn't quite muster up the strength to win any bigger types of awards, like Game of the Year awards. Good choices from DICE and the committee that puts all of these awards together. They did a great job, great nominations, and I think some appropriate winners in that collection. And also great work hosting, especially from Khalif Adams at the Spawn on Me podcast. I know that this was a big deal that he got to be a part of the whole production, and it feels like his recognition in the industry just keeps growing and growing. So I'm very happy for him. And Greg and Jessica always kill it. So good on the DICE folks for putting together another fun award show in these crazy times. And you know what? That's exactly what the Oscars have got to put together this weekend. I don't have all of the nominees for all of the Oscars, but I wanted to go through a bunch of them, and we're going to start with the Best Actor category in the Oscars. We've got Steven Yeun in Minari, where he's a father trying to grapple with integrating into the United States with his family. We've got Riz Ahmed in Sound of Metal, dealing with the loss of hearing as a rock star. Anthony Hopkins in The Father, who is grappling with the loss of his, he's got dementia. And Chadwick Boseman, the late and great Chadwick Boseman from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And we've got Gary Oldman in there for Mank, which was directed by David Fincher. I would give it to Riz Ahmed. I haven't seen this movie. I've just seen a lot of behind the scenes and a lot of scenes from the film. And I just think that Riz Ahmed is a remarkable actor, and that's a powerful story. The idea of a rock star losing their hearing. And I think it's a topical one because hearing is so mysterious for all of us, and most people suffer some hearing loss through life, so I think that there's a tremendous amount of connection to this story, and I think the Academy is going to choose Riz Ahmed, and I can't wait to see that film. It's one of the few that I haven't seen yet. Now let's talk a little bit about the Best Actress category, starting with Carey Mulligan, who has killed it in Promising Young Woman. It's a real breakout role for her. Frances McDormand, again, being discussed for Best Actress in Nomadland. This is Viola Davis in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And this is Vanessa Kirby in Pieces of a Woman. She's dealing with some pretty heavy stuff, the loss of a child. And then we've got Andra Day, The United States versus Billie Holiday. And man, she looks just like Billie Holiday. But I'm going to give it to Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Unbelievable performance, completely entrancing. It's you can't take your eyes off of her. I mean, it's just such a committed, honest, and visceral piece of work. You're just like, holy crap, she's just throwing all kinds of insults around. She is in charge of her band. It's an incredible performance. I think that she's going to get it from the Academy. Let's talk about the Best Animated Pictures. We've got Wolfwalkers, which is a beautiful, sort of traditionally, hand-drawn piece of work that's on Apple TV Plus. This is, of course, Soul from Pixar and Disney, which you can watch on Disney Plus. This is a Shaun the Sheep movie, one of those stop-motion films called Farmageddon, and this is Over the Moon, which you can watch on Netflix, which gets really crazy and esoteric. My family and I watched this one. And then, of course, Disney Pixar's Onward. So Pixar is in competition with itself, which I think they've done that before. My vote would go for Soul, which I think, was just a love letter to jazz music. And performance in general, as well as sort of making the most out of a life. It dealt with some heavy stuff, and a lot of dreams and fulfilling those dreams and expectations surrounding dreams. It's a very poignant and beautiful film. I thought Soul was wonderful. And let's get into the Best Director category. We have Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, and this has got a whip snap, really great pacing in that film. I loved Chloe Zhao's work in Nomadland. Very authentic, very honest. Same thing could be said for Lee Isaac Chung's work in Minari. And we also have David Fincher's kind of showy work with Mank, which was also a love letter to Fincher's deceased father. And then I haven't seen Another Round. This one's directed by Thomas Vinterberg. I've heard nothing but great things. It really looks like a wonderful film. But I'm going to give it to Chloe Zhao. I think that she just shocked the world with the rawness, the beautiful out in nature cinematography, and the raw performances that she got from non-actors, and everything just feels so authentic. It's definitely a slow-moving, thoughtful, dissection of what life would be like when you walk away from it all and you live on the road. It's an amazing movie. And if you haven't seen Nomadland, I can't recommend it enough. I know it doesn't quite fit with our sci-fi and action and video game kind of stuff that we always talk about on EP, but sometimes it's nice to, have our mind blown by creativity, like is exemplified in Nomadland. All right, let's talk about the Best Picture category, and there's 7 in this one. This one is Nomadland. I've just been raving about this one. This is the Trial of the Chicago 7, which has a fantastic script and terrific performances by everybody involved. It's cast of thousands, excellent work in there. Riz Ahmed is up again, his movie Sound of Metal is up there, and Minari is up there. And we also have Mank back again. A lot of themes here, right? We see a lot of these movies in a bunch of different categories. This is Judas and the Black Messiah, which was incredibly powerful and heavy and expertly crafted. Very, very cool film. And Promising Young Woman is also up for a Best Picture. And I think the last one is The Father, yes, the Anthony Hopkins. It's amazing the career that Anthony Hopkins continues to have. He's just an incredible talent. But my pick for Best Picture of 2020 would be Nomadland. And I know it's it's not a superhero movie, which is, kind of more my forte, but I was really, really blown away by Nomadland. And interestingly enough, Chloe Zhao, who directed Nomadland, has directed The Eternals, which we're going to get a glimpse of, I think, relatively soon, and it's supposed to be coming out this year. So she's making her own superhero movie, and I'm very curious to see how that turns out. And it kind of speaks to the risk-taking that Marvel employs with the types of casting and the types of crewing that it does for its work. So cannot wait to see what Chloe Zhao does with The Eternals. So there are my 5 picks. Would love to hear your choices for the Oscars. I know it was a weird year. You probably saw, you probably didn't see a ton of those movies that came out last year, and if you did, you probably watched them all on some kind of a streaming service, or you downloaded them or whatever. You're just catching up right now. But it should be interesting, and there definitely was some great work in 2020, and hopefully some really nice speeches and some nice moments happen when we get to watch the Oscars this weekend. All right, I wanted to dive into 3 shows that I've been watching. 2 of them wrapped up today. And I just wanted to give you my thoughts, okay? And the first one that I'm going to talk about is For All Mankind. This is an Apple show. Apple has paid for the production of this show, working with Sony Pictures. and the showrunner is Ronald D. Moore. It was co-created by Ronald D. Moore, and it is an amazing series. This is a kind of a recap of the first season. Season 2 just wrapped up. The first season is kind of the space race through the 70s. This is the idea that Russia and America are trying to land on the moon, and it turns out that Russia is the first one to land on the moon, and it freaks out the American pilots and astronauts that are trying to go out there. But the other side of this is that female pilots are employed and engaged to be a part of the space race, and NASA as well. And so Russia has the first man on the moon, but America says, okay, well, we're going to have the first woman on the moon. And so we get a whole alternative history on what happened during the space race, and we see female pilots become astronauts, and we see things that echo reality, but it's a little bit twisted and a little bit turned in different directions, and there are technological advancements that happen because the space race doesn't really end. And so in the first season, we kind of get to the moon. There's a base kind of set up on the moon, and people live there for a while, and all kinds of interesting things happen there. I won't spoil. And then in season 2, there's a little bit more of an institution being set up, and there's a little bit more of a hostile rivalry happening between Russia and America. And the astronauts that were a part of getting people into space for the first time are sort of the veterans now, and the technology's improved. We see electric vehicles, we see female astronauts becoming celebrities, and we also see, as Ronald D. Moore is an expert with shows like Outlander and with especially Battlestar Galactica, we see the unraveling of what all of this means, and we really get to kind of peel through the layers of personality and relationships with people, on Earth, and dealing with people out in space, and having to just sort of trust that everything will go well. And of course, not everything can and does go well. And so, the story kind of has a ton of twists and turns and a lot of different actors. But one of the things you see, Joel Kinnaman is one of the leads in the show, and he's terrific. And the guy that plays Gordo Cooper, he's a New Zealand actor. He is just phenomenal. His name is Michael Dorman, and he does an interesting thing with his character in the second season, because he goes through a bunch of stuff in the first season. At the beginning of the second season, he is kind of traumatized, and he's totally out of shape and freaked out and doesn't really feel like he can go back out into space. But of course he does, and some interesting things befall him, as they do with all of the other characters that are in there. But this is an amazing slow burn of a show, and it's not really a show. These trailers and these teases kind of showcase that there are some space scenes and stuff, and we do get out into space, and we do see the technology to get to space. But a lot of the sort of brick building and bricklaying of this series is the human condition on the road to getting to space, and that includes the command center and all of the politicians and the military personnel trying to grapple with what it means for engagement in outer space and employment to outer space, and it's just phenomenal. It's just incredibly captivating and engrossing. Ronald D. Moore is one of my favorite producers in Hollywood. I can't recommend this show enough. The interesting thing is, of course, you're going to have to get an Apple TV Plus subscription in order to be able to watch this. So it's exclusive to the Apple sort of ecosystem, which is a bit weird. So it's a show that isn't really for everybody, which is a bit nuts, because it sure is standing the test of time. Season 3 has already been greenlit. I'm really looking forward to seeing where the story heads to now, because they're going to jump ahead in time again. But it's all fascinating stuff, especially if you're a fan of space exploration like myself. Let's talk a little bit about episode 7 of Invincible. I watched this last night, and it is a shocking show. We've talked about in great detail that there's quite a bit of violence in the property, whether you read it on the page in the comic series or you watch it on the screen in this TV show. It doesn't shy away from some pretty heavy sequences. I was really impressed with the getting to know the character of Robot in this episode. Robot is working with these clone geneticists to try to bring his personality into a host that will be more fitting for Monster Girl. There is this attraction that Robot has with this character and wants to connect with her. So we get a sequence there, but we also get to see a little bit of the truth behind Omega Man. I think that's his name, Mark's father. I can't keep all the superhero names together. We're starting to see his backstory unravel a little bit. He, of course, killed the Guardians of the Globe in the very first episode and kind of showed his penchant for violence. And in this episode, he has to face up with some old foes who come back and try to challenge him. And then there's also monsters that get thrown into his face. But he just seems even doubly invincible than his son Invincible. And this is the, where we get to see Mark's mother kind of grapple with the government, Cecil, and they try to figure out how they can actually stop this guy who's on a rampage. And he is a threat to humanity. And, we're starting to see the rest of the characters understand that this guy is not what he's cracked up to be. He's the world's strongest superhero, but maybe he's not that super. And at the end of the episode, we get to see the opening sort of confrontation between the father and the son. So it's a great lead up into what is going to happen in episode 8. There are some shocking deaths in this episode, like there are in every episode of Invincible, but there's some really interesting, rebirths as well. I can't recommend this show enough either. Invincible is phenomenal. It's got a lot of depth and a lot of incredible detail. There are a lot of superheroes that are sort of alternative, and I can't even keep them all straight half the time, but holy crap, is it well made and well voiced. It's really a wonderful, wonderful show. I'm super impressed, and I'm sticking with Invincible for as long as it keeps going. Really, really looking forward to next week's show. But the big news in television, I think, for today was that, of course, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier wrapped up, and the finale was pretty damn good. I did feel, upon reflection, there was a lot of mysteries kind of solved and a lot of storylines kind of cleaned up, and we got to kind of see the conclusion of what the Flag Smashers were all about. And this was the quote-unquote terrorist group out there that was trying to stop this sort of government intervention into the lives of people that were living happily before the blip and then being forced into all kinds of new living conditions because people had come back to life. It's a very interesting paradigm and a very interesting setup for the series. We also got to see some kind of a resolution with this new Captain America, or this former Captain America, John Walker. And so we got to see his transformation into the U.S. agent, which was pretty damn cool. And then we also got to see, Bucky grapple with his past and face up to the fact that he's got to tell people that he was a killer, and it was beyond his control, and he killed people that he cared about. We also got to find out who the power broker is, and we get to see that Sharon Carter is not the person that we knew her as prior to this series. And all of those elements were super cool. I really dig the espionage kind of quality to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I love this kind of spy theme around everything. Of course, fused with all the super heroics and all these awesome action sequences. It's a blast. But I did feel at the conclusion, and the big reveal, of course, was that the Falcon is now the new Captain America, and they showed off the new suit, and there was some really fantastic action, flying around with the shield and Falcap. employing both of his wings and the shield to fantastic effect. Especially there's this wicked scene where he shields himself from a helicopter that's about to crash land. I was really impressed by all of that. But I did kind of feel like this was a TV show with so many great broad ideas, and as welcome as it was to have 6 hours to kind of dive into all of this lore and all of this intrigue, I wanted like another episode or two, because there was just so many different directions and threads and so much more story that we could have taken, I love that we got to see a little bit more with Isaiah, and he's super, they honor him, which is really fantastic. The Black Captain America. That never got to wear the shield, the super soldier that fought for a country that didn't really respect him. I mean, I loved all of those themes, and I loved that storytelling. But yeah, upon reflecting on the whole season, I feel like we jumped quickly. It's interesting to see it in context of For All Mankind, which has all of these different characters and all of these different directions, but the slow burn of it across 10 episodes per season lets you kind of sink in and really understand people's, ambitions and their desires and reasons for doing things that they're doing. And I feel like The Falcon and the Winter Soldier does an all right job with that, but we do jump from moment to moment to moment a little bit too quickly, and things are just sort of wrapped up at the end. That being said, what I think surprised me the most about The Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the truly open-ended nature of the conclusion. You really get a sense that there could be a season 2, and I didn't think that was going to be the case when we first started to watch the show. And so that excites me, the fact that we are now going to move forward and be watching Captain America and the Winter Soldier, this new Captain America. All of that sounds incredibly exciting to me. So I'm down for that. I think there was terrific work, and I know that this was the first TV show that Marvel Studios was really jumping on board with, and I thought that they, overall it was wonderful. But I feel like it could go a little bit smoother as we go from sequence to sequence. And the show also has a fallback to a lot of tropes that we see in a lot of TV shows. There's sort of hints that the world is going to get bigger and we're going to see some surprise cameos, but then it's always kind of tying in the cast members that we already know and sort of it sort of posits that we're going to expand, but then we shrink the world back to familiar characters that have already been on screen, which I think a lot of television programming does that. And that's something that we have been able to sidestep around in the MCU on the big screen in the movie theaters, because in almost every Marvel movie after they made about the 10th one or so, there was always this reveal, this massive new hero or massive new villain that was coming into frame, and we were constantly surprised like that, and it felt a little bit circuitous to go back to characters like Sharon Carter becoming the power broker. But you know what? I mean, I'm quibbling. I enjoyed myself thoroughly with The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I want more. I think everybody did terrific work. I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. And if you were wondering how I would stack up The Falcon and the Winter Soldier to WandaVision, I think I like WandaVision a little more, even if the finale was a little, underwhelming. That show as well could have stretched out a little bit more. But I just love the surprises and the wackiness of WandaVision. It was really crazy. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier, terrific. Don't miss For All Mankind, and definitely be watching Invincible. I think we're in the golden age of television. Definitely the golden age of genre or sci-fi or superhero television. It's amazing. We have all kinds of great stuff to watch. All right, so we talked a lot about linear entertainment. I think it is time to wrap up this episode of The Rundown. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you especially to all of our sponsors and our EPN members out there. I'll be back on Monday with a fresh episode for you. In the meantime, make sure that you have some fun playing games. And when you sit down to play games, the motto is play forever.